Well, welcome to my studio. I'm Scott Burdick, and we are going to do a little bit about photography. We're going to kind of give you a tour of cameras and just go through all the ins and outs of what an artist really would need to know about cameras, because it's a little bit more specific and a little different, and some of the information that you need to know as an artist doesn't really come in most of the photography manuals. A lot of these things I have to pick up on my own because they're so specific to what an artist would need to know that it's just not really readily available. And other information is just general information that you'll get from any photography class or book on photography. Okay, now we're going to go over some of the basic information on using a camera. Okay, just some of you may know all of this already, and you can fast forward. But it's amazing how many fine points of this, you think you learned, and that you really don't quite grasp. So I'm just going to go over them quickly, and I'm going to show my 35 millimeter here. This here, these first numbers here, these yellow numbers at the very front, are telling you the distance you focused at. So say we focus at 15 feet, all right? And then we go back to these other numbers here. You're wondering, what do these other numbers have to do with anything? These are also telling you distance, but you see, as these move, these also move. So let's put this on 15 feet. And now say we have it set, these back numbers here are our f-stops. Now say we have it on f11. Now that's telling us how wide open the camera is, or how closed down it is. How much light is coming through here. As you move to higher f-stops, you're letting less light into the camera. The opening is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Let's just talk a little bit about traveling and taking photographs. And since my wife and I are both painters, we almost have 3 different types of trips that we take. First kind of trip is mainly for painting, and this will usually be within the United States, somewhere we can drive or fly and bring all of our equipment. So we might be doing even larger paintings. We can ship everything ahead. I generally just pack it all up and ship it ahead, all my easels, canvases, paints. Then I don't have to try and drag it through security, and I can bring my larger French easel or whatever setup I want, and I send it ahead. And the camera then becomes basically just a backup for us. We're mostly just painting on the spot, and we're taking a picture of the scene that we're painting, so that when we come into the studio, we have the sketch or the regular painting and the photograph. Other trips to Europe, to China, where we go and we stay for, say, an extended time in one place before moving on. Like in China, we went there and we would spend usually 4 to 5 days in each town. And we brought our medium-sized painting setup. So it was small enough that we could bring it with us and check it on the airplane, and it just went on a tripod. So we would do small paintings on the spot, and then we would also go off and take lots of photographs. So the photographs would be the ones we would do in the studio. And then we came back with lots of little studies, color studies, and stuff like that. And that's usually for more doing a landscape or the city scenes, buildings, architecture, because the people aren't going to really sit still for you, and the photographs were generally for the people. Now, on this last trip, and this is really kind of the only one we've done this with, because we went to Peru for 3 weeks, and we went on the move constantly, because we just wanted to get an idea. We've never been there. We wanted to see the whole country. Really wanted to just get a sense of where we might want to come back to and spend it. We really didn't know where we'd want to spend a week at, and in fact, when we went there, we were surprised. The places that we had kind of thought in the back of our mind would be the place we'd want to stay turned out not to be at all. We only spent we realized, boy, I'm glad we didn't decide to spend a week here. There's nothing here, And then other places, which were little villages not even on the map. Now, those are some of the places we would go. Little islands out in Lake Titicaca. Those turned out to be places that we could stay for a week and paint. The people were, the costumes, and it was just fantastic.
Do you still need a tripod if you're shooting it outside?
You don't, if you're shooting in the sun, you don't really have to have a tripod, because you can shoot it at a fast enough setting that you're not going to get any glare. I would recommend using a tripod, though, because when you shoot a painting, it's amazing how hard it is to actually perfectly square it up, or if you're tilting it slightly when you shoot the shutter, and it will be just off kilter. Now if you're just shooting it just for a brief record, but if you're trying to shoot something that you're going to send into a magazine for a show or whatever, then I would recommend a tripod in all cases, just because you can really perfectly square it up. When I shoot my slides, the 4x5s I always shoot with this in it, always, just because they're always going to be used for reproduction. When I shoot slides, I'll shoot maybe 2 with this card in it, in case I need to send in a slide that's going to be reproduced. But then I shoot the rest of my slides like this, maybe 4 or 5 slides like this. That way, when the slide comes out, it's nice and clean, background, black, and when they project it up on the wall, anything that's black, of course, just blends out. So all you see when they project it up and you do a slideshow, or you're sending it in to submit for a show or a museum, all they see then is the painting. None of that distracting stuff, or in the background, the grass, or or the wall that would be there. So that's kind of why I have this painted that way. It just makes it a lot simpler. It saves me time. I don't have to try and tape them off later. So I guess that's it. Anybody have any more questions? All right. Well, I guess we're done. They've learned everything there is to know about cameras. Okay, thank you.